bang of the gavel. We'd like to welcome everyone to the Board of Commissioners meeting for October 19th, 2021 of Washington County, and those visiting us on Zoom, as well as those who will view this later as it is being recorded. We appreciate the Community Education Channel for doing that for us. Special evening because we get to have Major Richard Green here from the Salvation Army, and we've invited him to offer an invocation. Please, Major.
Thank you for allowing me the privilege of being here and to bring the invocation. As you know, it's always nice to have the Salvation Army in a community. 20 years ago, New York, Twin Towers were bombed. We were on the job serving 1 hour after that event started. 9 months later, we served over 4.5 million people. I talked with an officer who was there for a 3 or 4 week stint, and her sole job during the time she was there was to take off the boots of the firemen and the first responders as they came into the tent while they were eating their meals. She took off their boots, their old dirty socks, washed their feet, put fresh socks on, and put their boots back on so they'd be ready to go back. It's amazing how much a little thing will help. And I'm glad that we're able to be in Washington County and that we're able to help. As you know, our red kettles are coming up. They were started in 1891 after another disaster when Fisherman's Wharf burnt and several of the fishing fleet burnt, and the fishermen who lived on the boats no longer had a place to stay. So they were staying at the Salvation Army Center, and they were running out of food. So they put a crab pot out in front of the residents and asked people to keep the kettle boiling. And 10 years later, it's a national event in the United States, and now it is in Korea, Japan, Chile, and throughout Europe as a symbol of the Salvation Army help worldwide. Let's pause for just a moment. Father, we thank you for these who've given of their time and their effort, their wisdom and their knowledge to be able to help this community to be better served in the days that are ahead. Bless them in their deliberations. Give them, Lord, wisdom beyond their years. Help them to be able to decide what's best for this community. Bless them. Jesus, we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Major.
Thank you, Major Green. Enjoy. We're also privileged at this time to have Steve Bird of the retired Utah Air National Guard with us to offer us a pledge. Of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
We appreciate people in uniform. Thank you. All righty, our consent agenda is a means of expediting the consideration of routine matters. If a commissioner requests that items be removed from the consent agenda, those items are placed at the beginning of the regular agenda. Other than request to remove items, a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda is not debatable.
Mr. Chairman, I believe it's my turn this week. So I will I move that we approve the consent agenda. Item A, consideration of auditor approved claims for payment for October 5th, 2021 through October 18th, 2021. B, consideration of regular commission meeting minutes of October 5th, 2021. C, consideration of administrative adjustments, real property. D, consideration of administrative adjustments, personal property. E, consideration of applications for property tax abatement. F, acknowledgement of publishing notice of adoption of ordinance number 2021-1196-0 on Saturday, October 9th, 2021. G, consideration of Tall Tree Administrators 2022 fee schedule for Washington County employee benefits. That's my motion.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Motion and a second, and no division on the consent agenda. All in favor, as read, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Our next item is, I believe, an employee recognition, and that belongs to Sarah Hall. Wonderful. Thank you, Joel. Will you please take it from here?
I'd love to. It is my pleasure to present Sarah Hall. She's our librarian. Been here quite a few years. I think we're at the 20.
Yes,
Forward. Yeah.
20 years.
Amazing stuff. I remember when we interviewed her for the librarian position, we kind of put them through the rigmarole as far as how would you respond if and answer this question kind of things, kind of some information seeking. And she did amazing. She's very smart, very intelligent, very creative too. Is very much into cosplay. Nice. and helps us run the Washington Makerspace with all the sewing stuff out there. Hurricane, sorry.
Yeah, come on.
Hurricane, yes. Sorry, it came out wrong. But does great work, and we're pleased to have her as part of our staff. So.
Wonderful. Sarah, would you come up? We'll hand you this and get a picture with you.
Well, I think we need to ask what's Sarah's favorite book after 20 years of librarian.
Like asking me to choose a favorite title.
Yeah.
How about a favorite author?
Okay.
Mercedes Lackey. She's a fantasy and historical fiction.
Wow.
Mercedes
Lackey.
Lackey.
I'm
Very
going to
good.
want
Good
the
to know.
answer on the book someday, though. So think about it.
Thank you for
We can do
coming.
hard things.
And thank you for your service in county and in Hurricane. Thank you, Sarah. All right, next we have a presentation by our own Iron Man, Kevin Lewis. It says right here, Iron Man, Kevin.
Oh dear. Yeah, I'm not that crazy, and I'm certainly not as crazy as the folks that were out on the mountain on Friday doing
Well,
the
I
Red
beg
Bull
to differ,
Rampage.
Kevin. You say you're not that crazy, but Brittany, you did do 2 Ironmen in 1 year.
We're gonna do
it
more.
again.
Yes.
Yeah, we are crazy. Yeah,
It takes a certain
definitely.
level of craziness to do that.
Yeah.
So.
It seems like almost a year ago that we did this because there's been so much that's happened in between. You know, Marathon and Huntsman Senior Games and Red Bull Rampage all just happened in sequence. But this is a report on the Ironman 70.3 World Championship that was held September 17th and 18th. Actually, the race day was on the 18th. So just kind of give everybody an update on what happened there. Let's see, jump right into it. So we started off with this theme. The Land of Endurance was the theme that we created, and this whole attitude of rise to it. And it really kind of played into what happened on that day. We brought 4 seasons in one day to the race, and we brought people from all over the world who had all kinds of different experiences. So one of them, we had 3,522 athletes that signed up and 11,000 visitors. One of those athletes was Kyle Brown of Farmington, Utah, who was diagnosed about 6 months previously with ALS, which is a debilitating disease that just they'll end up killing you. And but he was a triathlete. He'd noticed some things going on, with his body, and it wasn't responding the way he liked to. But when he got this diagnosis, he said, "I'm still going to do this. I'm qualified. I'm going to do it." And so Kyle finished the race. And when he came across the line, he had a sign that said, "There's not a cure for this yet, and I won't see the cure, but you can." He's got about 6 months to live, but was still able to finish the race. All kinds of stories as you go through the numbers here, and I think it's kind of fun to look at the athletes that are involved in this. We had 75 first-time visitors. 97% of those were from outside of, actually that should say outside of Utah. Only 0.3% were from Washington County. So there were 12 athletes from Washington County. But another one of those athletes was Lauren Parker from Australia. Lauren is a triathlete now, who 4 years ago was a regular triathlete. It was competing, and she was training on her bike and had a double blowout. Both of her tires blew out at the same time, and she wrecked and hit a guardrail that just messed her up completely. But she said all of the different things that happened to her could heal, except for the fact that her spine couldn't. Her spinal cord was cut in that accident. And so she turned into she became a para-triathlete. Again, this accident was just 4 years ago. She competed in Tokyo, in the Tokyo Olympics, and missed out on the gold by 1 second. She was in a sprint finish in that race. And then left Tokyo and came here to do her first 70.3 event, a longer distance race, and ended up doing that on what is considered one of the hardest 70.3 courses in the world, and then got one of the hardest days in the world to do it in. So she's trying to push her wheelchair up Snow Canyon in the middle of a rainstorm. And you can imagine the difficulty there. But quite an athlete. I mean, really phenomenal. A silver medalist at the Olympics, and then finished and completed this race. She said this was the hardest thing she'd ever done in her life, was complete this race. So another one. Gustav Iden was our male champion. He did the race in 3 hours and 37 minutes, which to me just kind of boggles my mind. That 56-mile bike ride, again, one of the hardest bike rides in the circuit, and he did it in less than 2 hours. So, but he's from Norway. And then Lucy Charles Barclay from Great Britain won the women's race, and she ran it bell to bell. She was ahead in the swim by 45 seconds. She continued on the bike and then finished up the run for a win by 8 minutes. This was Lucy's first world championship. She's taken several second places at the events, but never had won it. Lucy did something that I kind of hate to admit and tell people about, but she came into the area about a month and a half early, and she stayed up on Cedar Mountain and trained up on Cedar Mountain at elevation up there. So Iron County gets some of the glory because they had the world champion staying with them. But I think that training at elevation helped her, and she dominated the race. The event brought, with all those visitors and the length of stay that they have, brought in $18 million in direct economic impact to the county. An incredible event in terms of that economic impact. The only one that rivals that is the Huntsman Senior Games, which brings in 10,000 athletes, and they stay over the course of 2 weeks and competing in different events. So it's very similar to that. But again, this is another one of the really signature moments. This is the Iron Kids race, and this little boy has a little physical challenge with his foot, but he came across the finish line at the very end, and they held the tape up for him again. And I don't know if you noticed, the picture on the right is Andrew Messick, the CEO of Ironman, giving this little boy a special coin. Congratulations. And that photographer there that's taken the picture in that photo is Donald Murilli, who is a world-famous photographer that does sporting events. Most of the stuff you see out of the Tokyo Olympics are his photographs, but he was here doing this event as well. So it brings in all kinds of, not just the athletes, not just the spectators and whatever, but all of the professionals that are with them, really the best in the world. And Donald just said at this moment, these little kids race moments are kind of the funnest things he does at the event. He kind of appreciates that. In our surveys, 79% of those that were competing this week that week said they wanted to return for the Ironman 22 World Championship, 70.3 World Championship. And again, there's just another image, and from an Instagram post, you can see Donald Morella's photo, but there's another para-athlete who competed and finished the race there. Just incredible stories, and to me, the numbers are really important in this, but really what this is about is human stories, humans overcoming adversity, and people who are getting up to do things that they wouldn't normally do. And we see that in the athletes. We also see it in the volunteers. 4,000 volunteers from our area that get involved in this and do something to help something like this happen. This is a really fun post. 96% of participants would recommend St. George to other athletes. Well, this is a post from Heather Wertel, who did the race in 2010 when it was the first race here. She was our very first champion at the race, And she won several races here and had a really stellar career as a triathlete. But her and her husband, both professional triathletes, retired about a year and a half ago. And they've been living the dream, just hanging out in Nelson, British Columbia, riding and climbing and doing everything they love. But she was watching the coverage of the event and seeing St. George happen, and you see that last line there. It says, all the drama and excitement the big races and great venues bring. Might have had my first twinge of race envy since retiring. Still remembers. That's a picture of her in one of the races. So she posted that. She also has just posted an article written an article in Triathlete magazine that came out a couple weeks ago that talks about another event that we're going to bring in next year that you guys are aware of, and why St. George is the best location for that. It's a pretty good article. Just a couple more details. The oldest athlete to race was 84 years old. That's not the woman in this photo. This is Cherie Grunfield, who is actually 79, but won her class of athletes there. The youngest is 18, 103 athletes from Utah and 12 from Washington County. A couple more just bits of information. So 87 countries actually made it here despite the travel restrictions. We had representatives from 87 countries. The list of the top 5 countries there is really different than you would see at a normal Ironman race. USA is usually one of the bigger countries to be involved, but then you'd have Germany and England and those other countries that were not able to come to this race. And then we had all 50 states represented as well. One of the countries that was represented was Bangladesh, this triathlete from Bangladesh. And there's an article from his home paper in Bangladesh just celebrating the fact that he was able to get here and was the first person from Bangladesh to ever be represented at a 70.3 World Championship. So kind of some fun stuff there. And then one more. Amessa is her name. We ran into her. Sarah and I were down on Tuesday night at the finish line as they were setting up and getting gear ready. And we were walking back, and she was taking a picture, a selfie of herself there in front of the monument down in Town Square at the roundabout there. And we asked if we could take her picture for her, and she got emotional, and we could tell she had an accent. And so we asked her where she was from. She was from Budapest, Hungary. And one of 2 athletes from Hungary who had found their way here via Dubai. They had to leave Budapest, Hungary, fly to Dubai, and stay for 2 weeks in quarantine in Dubai so that they could then fly into the U.S. To get here. So she'd been away from her family for about 4 weeks. But she said as she was taking pictures of herself at the monument, she just got really emotional, and she said, I saw this monument in her broken English. I saw this monument on the video. She had seen the video that we'd posted and sent out to all the athletes that celebrated the area and talked about the monument. And then she said, and now I'm here. And tears in her eyes as she's expressing the joy that she had to come and accomplish this dream that was so important. Anyway, ran into her just by chance after the finish line, and there she is going to get a massage after finishing the race. So pretty neat experience. But like I said, we put a race that gave all 4 seasons in one day. It was beautiful out there in the morning, as you guys are aware. You were part of that. And then about 10 o'clock in the day, just before the pros were finishing, storm blew through St. George. Our commissioners, just so everyone knows, were at the finish line holding up the podium backdrop for the champions that was going to be blown over. It was our commissioners that were out there holding that up in the middle of the rain. But these are some of the scenes from out at Sand Hollow area, tumbleweeds that they were facing, and sandblast, and it's a pretty wicked storm that came through. There's down at the roundabout, you see how that just kind of knocked over all the dressing and everything that was set up. It was kind of a wicked day. But now, with all of this, all of the athletes that have completed this have stories to tell. Every one of them has got stories about the circumstances. This is one of my favorite photos of all. This was an Instagram post. Incredible shot there. Pretty phenomenal what happened. So the day after the race, I went out we had the film crew here, and I went out to Zion National Park. We were doing some filming for some of our tourism marketing. And I ran into hundreds of athletes who were out there on Sunday, had competed the race on Saturday, we're out in Zion National Park hiking the trails and whatever. This is someone else that I saw this post from a photographer who was out on the race. Sorry, this is a moto driver for a photographer. So one of the volunteers who came here from Boulder, Colorado to drive his motorcycle around the race and be a volunteer to support the event. And then he went to the park, and he was smart enough to take pictures of everybody he ran into. And you can see there's like 39 photos of people out there. But just you can tell that this event is the people that are participating in this are really the right demographic for our area. They love the outdoor adventure. They love being involved in the things that we have to do here, and they'll come back, as you saw in the numbers. So one more, this was an email that we received. Just want to tell you, St. George has the greatest hospitality of any race I've ever been to with Ironman. They've done 17 plus full Ironman races and 30 70.3 races, and St. George's best hospitality. So congratulations to everybody who participated in that. We really do know how to make these people feel good. And the result of that came out. Even the Ironman crew felt good about what we're doing. So as you guys know, the World Championship full distance Ironman race has been held in Kona, Hawaii since 1978. And they've had some trouble getting that race put together over the last year. COVID, they had to postpone and cancel. They postponed again for 2021, and things were not coming together. And so a few days before the race, Andrew Messick and Diana Birch, the two top leaders at Ironman for the World Championship, pulled me aside and said, we want to talk to you about an idea that we have. And that idea was to bring the Ironman World Championship race to St. George in May, when we would, what we figured out is we had planned to do a full distance race in May, and we were placing that. So essentially our North American Championship race is getting an upgrade to the full distance race, the Super Sapiens Ironman World Championship, held presented by Utah Sports Commission and held in St. George, Utah. This is really the oldest, most iconic and globally recognized endurance event in the world. It has a legacy like no other. And the news about this just went all around the world. The New York Times picked up the article. It wasn't just a sports story. It was a news story that went all over. This is why, this is what Ironman said. St. George has proven itself time and again to be a world-class venue where champions choose to rise to the challenge in the land of endurance. As a result, it is with great excitement that we let you know that Ironman St. George event on May 7th will now become the 2021 edition of the Ironman World Championship. Jeff Robbins, the CEO of the Utah Sports Commission, says this may be the biggest event in Utah since the 2002 Winter Olympics as far as a worldwide marquee brand. That's the significance of this event. The research that we studied as we looked at trying to figure out whether we could do this or not, the economic impact in Kona each year for that event is $70 million each year. We probably won't have quite that amount because we're a little easier destination to get to and people might not stay as long here. But if we get half of that, it will be the largest single event in economic impact that we've ever had here. The media value of that event is close to $40 million. And we've already seen that, I mean, with the exposure and just the talk about the race. This is Sarah Hirschland, the CEO from the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. She said, when asked in a press conference just a couple weeks ago, how is Utah preparing to host the Winter Olympics? She said that they're hosting large-scale international sporting events like the Ironman World Championship, and they're important to the preparations for an Olympic bid. So that's the significance of that event coming up, and that came out of the work that we did and the preparation that we've done as a community to host these kind of events. So our schedule coming up, what you were alluding to, Victor, we hosted the 70.3 World Championship in September of this year. We'll host the Ironman World Championship in May of 2022, and then in October of 2022, we're slated to host the 70.3 World Championship again. So an incredible string of events for us, for our community, and it just speaks to the kind of community that we have, the good people that were here, the organizations, all of the public safety, EMS, search and rescue, all those support services that just step up and have demonstrated that we can pull these things, these kind of world-class events off. Other communities in the world are fighting to host these events, and we've got people like Ironman coming to us to ask us if we want to do it. So we're excited about that. And our champion's excited to come back. So I think we'll see a great contingency. So that's the report on the event. Any questions or?
Just thanks to your entire team, because as much as we know you're the head of that tourism department, it just takes a whole team to make it happen. Brittany's here, but a lot of other kudos to everyone who worked so hard. Please tell them on our behalf.
Thank you. Yeah, there's no question about that. Without this team that we have in the tourism office, we couldn't pull things off like that. They're incredible people that see the vision and work to make it happen.
Kevin, one of your slides, you just said that this would be the second only to the Olympics. That like
Mic drop.
gauntlet thrown now? Is that? I mean, is that? I'm just wondering. In a year from now, are you going to ask about
The Olympics?
Olympic bid? Maybe I'm just throwing. Brittany says no. Yeah. Leslie, are you? I don't know where you're. No. Okay. Well.
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
You know, there were two parts of this that I really remember and I enjoyed. One was the celebration afterwards for our volunteers. I mean, 2,000 volunteers out at Legacy, and they only represented a certain, probably about half the volunteers it took. And they stayed, they had a good time. It was just a lot of fun to see. And then the second was the cultural exchange that took place between corporate Ironman and Washington County. They came in a little bit masked up. And, they were kind of like worried about everybody not wearing masks. But Diana and company, and I don't want to rat her out, but by the time it was the end of that, she was not wearing a mask. I don't even think she had a mask by then. And so it was kind of like, when in Rome, do as Romans, and when in Washington County, do as Washington County. And it was really kind of fun to watch how corporate Ironman got really done with those masks by the time they left.
I think it really just speaks to, again, the leadership in the county, throughout the county, the communities and whatever, to look at situations like this pandemic and figure out ways to get through them in a positive way. And we've found ways to do that. We've been very successful at that. And as a result, organizations like this are looking to us. We get calls, it seems like almost daily, from outside organizations whose events are unable to happen somewhere else, and they know that we've been able to pull them off here, and they want to know if we can do it here. We've got another big event that it's not as big as the Olympics, Adam, but they just continue to come. Success breeds success, and we're lucky to have a community and leadership that thinks forwardly like that and has a positive outlook and says, yeah, we can still live and exist and be successful doing it.
Now, I'm not being judgy. If you want to wear a mask, go ahead and wear one. But anyway, I thought that was fun.
Well, Kevin, we stress this and we show numbers and we tell them of impact, and our citizens on occasion come back and say, yeah, but this road was closed or this was that. I want us to understand this is a community event. The volunteers have proven that. And if someone is put out for a day, it really does come back to impact their property tax. Most likely somebody, it wouldn't have to go very far in a household to have a connection to Ironman, whether that's at a restaurant, even a gas station, a hotel, whatever, that there are so many people that live and work here. And somebody might say, well, I'm an engineer at a local land surveying company. That doesn't help me any. Well, in reality, it does, because they may have their job because of the popularity of the area. And so wherever we trace it back to you, the senior games that are going on, it all impacts us, and I think in a very positive way. And let's all, the community, look at it the same way.
I appreciate that. I think too, this is something that, that those $18 million are coming from the outside into our community, and they don't just leave. They don't just go into one business, but my business might not be directly impacted with those $18 million, but somebody's business is, which gives them the livelihood and the ability to spend. And an example, Commissioner Snow was talking about this. If I have a dry cleaning business, well, yeah, maybe Ironman don't come and bring a lot of dry cleaning with them, but the other businesses that operate, the money that helps support those businesses then goes into the community, and that business owner or employee is going to take his dry cleaning to the dry cleaner, and that just keeps this positive cycle going. It brings in these new dollars to our community, and they flow through the community over and over and over again. It raises the lifestyle and opportunity for everyone in the community.
And we do try very hard and are very sensitive to SR 18 with a few of the neighborhoods that are most impacted. By only reserving this for the big events, because there's a lot of others that would like to, a lot of other events that would like to come in and shut down roads and stuff. And I think we've made a commitment to our citizens that we're going to be very selective in any type of event that comes in. So.
Yep.
And then we try to find ways also to use those dollars that are coming in and the tax revenue that comes in from those dollars to invest in facilities and parks and trails and other things that the residents benefit from year round. All of that works to the good of the residents. Like you say, there's maybe a little bit of congestion on a day here or there, but in reality, all year round the benefits are being felt by the residents. So, thank you.
And we know this isn't all you do, so as soon as Ironman is over, you catch up with other things, and then you plan for Ironman again. I think I asked Brittany, when do you start planning for the next Ironman? It was at the closing dinner or something, and she said, tomorrow, or even right now,
Right.
Or a week ago. I can't remember, but we sure appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that's a great report. We thank you for that. Another report from our emergency services. Is that you, Daryl? It is. Thank you so much. Daryl Cashin.
Did you have to rescue anybody that was an Ironman athlete?
Are you talking about in the lake? We pulled 100.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, that storm hit that lake and kicked it up, and pretty soon Ironman goes pull them. So we just started at the back and pulled everybody and got them all out at the very end of it. So
Well, thank you.
we were busy.
You know that guy right there?
Kevin did not want to relinquish the
Kevin
podium.
is kind
He
of
said,
looking down.
I will still remain
Even
on
better.
the-"
Now we have Sarah.
How am I supposed to follow him anyway?
Yeah, he's hijacked our IT. He's putting up his own pictures.
And just so you know, we have another small event, a triathlon this weekend at Quail, and one that goes for 2.5 days the next weekend. It's the Intermountain Tri or something, which is new down here.
The Intermountain mountain biking one?
Intermountain Triathlon.
Oh, yeah, that trial.
Yeah, and they're bringing it down for the first time, so we got asked to provide the water safety for both of those. So, and I've been on vacation, so I told my guys to handle it. So I hope it's handled. Okay, so we did have a slowdown in search and rescues. We only had 8 in the last month. So I thought, until I got told that one of my backcountry deputies did 2 without calling SAR. Just minor ones, went and handled them. So they're not in this report, but they've been doing that a lot more. If 1 or 2 guys can go handle it, they're just going to handle it without calling out 10 and 12 and 15 people. We had 156 man hours on this. We have a total of 134 search and rescues so far this year, which is a little less than we were last year, and I'm happy about that. Out of all the people rescued, 5 were from outside of Utah. 1 was a county residence, and 2 were from outside the county. They're from up north. So we had a missing swimmer at Quail. It was reported to us that they saw someone go under the water. We spent about 2.5, 3 hours out there looking, and finally found the lady. She was actually just a really quick swimmer and made it all the way around to the other dam, but we went out and tried to find her. Couldn't for a little while, but she was fine. UTV accident on the 21st on Sand Mountain. We're having a lot of those. I just assume that's because of the type of activity they're doing. On the 23rd, we had a fall in Dalton Wash. A female fell 30 to 40 feet off a cliff in the middle of the night. And EMS got up to her, some of the deputies and SAR started showing up, and by that time they had carried her up and got her in an ambulance and got her out.
Did she survive?
As far as I know, she did, but she was pretty severely injured from that fall. I think there's a little camping area up there, up Dalton somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some.
We're getting more and more calls up that way from this little camp area they've got up there. On the 23rd, again, a UTV accident on Sand Mountain. Had a gentleman roll his UTV and break his arm. In fact, the one previous, there was also a broken arm. I think there's a theme going here. Don't stick your arm out when the thing starts rolling. Had a lost mountain biker up on Babylon. The SAR deputy actually went up there and located the person and got them out, just as SAR was arriving on scene. Had a Jeep rollover on Sand Mountain. That was part of a 4x4 event that went on for about a week out there. I don't remember the name of that. Tom, do you?
Trail Hero?
Trail of Heroes. So a lady in a Jeep going up, her husband behind another Jeep rolled it over, injured her arm in a very difficult place to get to. Had an injured hiker on Red Cliffs recreation area, 20-year-old female fell and broke her ankle. So the team went in with EMS, and then they stabilized, put her on a wheeled Stokes and brought her out. And again, a UTV accident again on the 16th on Sand Mountain. Had a report of a male that had broken his arm, his second subject being pinned, but by the time they got there, they found out there was only one subject. There was not a pinned one. And the other guy had worked his way down and got to the ambulance, so he was taken out. Just really quick, these backcountry deputies that we have now, I have 2 right now full up and running, got another one coming in another 2 to 3 weeks, and the 4th one behind it. They have been very busy ever since the new camping law that you guys came out with.
Short-term rental?
Yeah. They have been hitting a lot of those places. We've been getting a lot of calls from people saying they've been there for 3-4 weeks, a month, 2 months.
Oh.
So they've been out, giving them notice, letting them know they need to move on. They can't be there more than 14 days in a 28-day period. One of the deputies last night caught 3 juveniles in a stolen vehicle out on the Desert Reserve. And he spent half his night impounding, getting evidence, and getting juveniles put in juvenile detention. But had those deputies not been there, they probably would not have been caught last night. So we do appreciate it, and I just want you to know that it is showing that there are jobs for them to do. There is law enforcement to do in those backcountry areas where no one is getting. They are out there doing them.
Thank you. I've also received comments, as you have, Brad Cottam and others who are out there running cows, and they appreciate very much that the deputies are there.
Yes, he's called me a couple times.
Yeah, he said he had. So.
And me and the deputy hopped in our trucks and went out there and tried to track down what the problem was. So.
Yeah. Well, I think as we do it, it'll make the whole environment out there better, make it more family friendly, and so that it's more enjoyable for everybody. So.
Yeah, I just think it just takes time for people to know that, yes, we're going to be out there. So don't think you can go out there and hide and do your stuff. We're going to come find you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank your volunteers. All right, our next item are the consideration of purchase requests from Ray.
Okay. The first few I have is for the sheriff's office. This first one is for a bundle of cameras and such. This is for 5 years, and the bundle includes 32 in-car video cams, 45 body cams, 1 connectivity, 2 interview room systems, 1 server and software, and a 5-year warranty, and it also includes deployment and training, so setup and installation. And then that total comes to $365,268, and that's after the company gave us a 20% discount.
Yeah, we knew that one was coming as an upgrade.
Yes. much needed. The next one is for a replacement server for the sheriff's office. This is for $59,819. The next one is for inmate supplies, clothing, bedding, footwear, among other things, for $15,046.54. And then the next few I have is for our tourism office. The first one is for the Land of Advertising campaign. This is a blanket PO for $125,000. The next one is for the Forever Mighty / Greater Zion ad campaign. This is also a blanket purchase order for $75,000. Both will be reimbursed some funds from the Utah Office of Tourism. The next one is for emergency services. This is grant funded. This is for 2 EOD suits, and that's a total of $75,482. And both suits will be dispersed to other entities. There will be Washington County assets. The next one is for our Noxious Weeds Department. This is for weed supplies in a total of $15,946. You don't see these very often, but this one's a little larger due to buying extra product for the desert tortoise habitat to continue to make a good fire break for that. And that's approximately $5,000 worth of product. And then the other portion of the extra cost is that the winter annuals were coming early because of all the rain we've had. So he needs to get going on those.
They really are.
It's expected that this amount of product will last us through spring or till spring. The next one is for asphalt smoothing on Old Highway 91, and that is for $14,500. Next one is for a water line repair at the Enterprise Reservoir for $12,893.40. This stems from the flooding. It was an accident that happened when we were trying to repair roads. And the final one is for Legacy Park. This is for horse panels, in a total of $18,690.73. And unless there's any questions, that's all I have.
Thank you, Ray. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the purchase requests that have been presented by Ray.
Second the motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Ray.
Thanks.
Our next item is consideration of whether to send a letter of support to UDOT regarding the county construction of a multi-use path from Central to Vail in the UDOT right-of-way.
I'm going to handle this one, Commissioners. So UDOT has
Is this
requested-
Devin's first time?
The very first, yeah.
We
wanna
really
welcome him.
should. We should. He's having an amazing first commission meeting, I think.
It has been amazing. Thank you so
Welcome,
much.
Devin
It's
Snow.
good to be here. So this letter is regarding a partnership between UDOT and the county. You have the letter in your packets. Basically, in summary, UDOT is proposing to make roadway improvements between Bayo and Central, so that would include a shoulder on the west side. That would include a double left turn, Brookside area. And then the county's side would be to construct a bike path within UDOT right-of-way. So part of what UDOT is going to do is obtain that right-of-way and open it up to the county to do its side. So UDOT hopes to take this letter of support, Transportation Commission, next month. And so that's what you're asked to do today, is to approve and issue this letter.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. You did a very good job in your first.
Amazing, actually.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Really. Mr. Chairman, this is a great kind of partnership with the county and UDOT as they take a look at some of the safety concerns that we have up on that road. Obviously, in between Brookside and Central is a lot of people like to prepare for the for the marathon and run and exercise and bike along that area, but it's not safe. It doesn't have shoulders on it. So UDOT recognizing that and the county recognizing that, we're hoping to enter into some sort of partnership to kind of be able to provide infrastructure up there that'll make it safe for not only the pedestrians that are using it, but also the traveling public along that road.
And if anybody is wondering why Veo to Central is the key portion that we need right there, is because there's a trail that goes from St. George to the top of Snow Canyon, the north entrance of Snow Canyon, and then there's a wide shoulder from there to Veo. And so bikers and runners can get off the road and be safer for that portion, but there's nothing beyond that. And so it's not that we're just taking this in random chunks. It would be a continuation of a safer travel for others. Right, Devin?
Right. And one other thing to point out as well, by having the county construct the path as opposed to UDOT, there's going to be a savings to the county as well and its citizens.
Yep.
And the request to the state commission will be, it'll be easier to get a favorable results by having the partnership there. So.
Right, and that's that second paragraph where it says, we also understand that the county will have control over the design and construction, and that's where the savings comes. And, not that they're overpriced, but they have all sorts of obligations that we still will build the safest trail that is required and can use our local contractors and others to do it.
Correct.
Mr. Chair, I recommend that we accept and sign this letter of support to UDOT regarding the county's participation in the multi-use path from Central to Veo within the UDOT right-of-way.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. And Leslie's in the back, our trail expert. Also, she's had her day to also revel in the idea of getting more trails, and you probably weren't quite as aware of how fast this one was moving forward, but thank you for your contribution in other areas of the county. Okay. Nor do those folks who use them. All right, thank you. Our next item is a resolution, number R 2021-2840, resolution to approve and adopt an update to the county's emergency operations plan.
Jason Bradley.
Thank you, Commissioners. The emergency operations plan is critical to the preparedness of Washington County. I might point out to the folks in the audience and on our various platforms out there that the Commission has taken this fairly seriously. That has spent several hours in our EOC today, for that matter, going over training and hours that are very valuable to them. The plan itself has not changed. It is a living document that requires periodic review. There are several annexes under construction. What is needing to be updated is the administrative portions of that plan. Specifically, there's a number of locations in that plan that have contact lists, phone numbers, things that are critical to our operations in an emergency. And it's something we have to get a update and a repromulgation on every so many years. And so that's what we're asking for today.
Fantastic. Well, I'm not biased, but I think Jason Whipple and Jason Bradley do a fantastic job in our emergency operations. And anyway, it makes me feel better when we have emergencies. So.
Thank you.
You're planning. You guys do fantastic. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2021-2840, a resolution to approve and adopt an update to the county's emergency operations plan.
I second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Passes. Thank you, Jason, and your hard work on that. Our next item is consideration of resolution number R 2021-2841, a resolution approving an independent contractor agreement for the Zion Regional Collaborative Services. Leslie.
Thank you. This would be to continue another year of that independent contractor agreement and keep the same contractor to coordinate the ZRC's effort. And the Zion Regional Collaborative has been a key partner in doing a lot of the work with the Zion Corridor Trail, and they have other projects, of course, that are good to keep in the loop on. And the county is one of several contributors to the costs of this coordinator, contributing a little bit more than last year. Every party is bumping up their amount. So we were 9,500 last year, we're 11,500 this year. That accounts for rising costs and other needs to keep the coordinator position. And then we are part of the coordinating group for the program of work for that coordinator.
Who chairs this meeting?
Chairs
The ZRC when it meets.
The coordinator facilitates all of the ZRC's meetings is one of the duties. So
I just know that Commissioner Snow is very passionate about this, and if you would give that to the body, maybe you might chair it from time to time when you need it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Iverson, for volunteering me on that. But I think the structure we have right now is working well, so we'll stick with that, Leslie.
Well, I'm always happy to be a liaison, and but they certainly love having a commissioner at the table.
I will continue to attend as long as I'm not the chair, Commissioner Iverson.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Yes.
Well, and we should stress for the audience that this is annually renewable. It's not a guarantee. We've appreciated the services, and as an intern, they've been able to get all the parties together and talk about it. We would appreciate from time to time a report back, though, and I know it comes through Adam, but Emily used to prepare a sort of written summary, and maybe she could continue to get that to all of the commissioners.
I'm sure she'd be happy to do that. We'll make sure that happens.
Very good.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve resolution number R-2021-2841, resolution approving an independent contractor agreement for Zion Regional Collaborative Services.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Motion and a second on item 7. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Approved. All right. Consideration of resolution number R-2021-2842, a resolution appointing a board member to the Habitat Conservation Technical Committee. Cameron.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we have another vacancy to fill. I think we filled one at the last meeting or maybe the time before that. This vacancy was formerly held by Marshall Topham. He'd been on and off the committee for many years, and we've been looking for a good replacement when he decided he wanted to stop and be just a trail steward for us. So we still have him as a trail steward. But we had, contemplating who might be a good replacement, we reached out to Sitla, knowing that they're, have a lot of inholdings in the reserve and they have resource specialists. They did say that they would like to have somebody on that committee, and so they selected Ron Torgeson, who is a rangeland specialist, and he's got over 20 years of experience, very well qualified, and we think he'll be a great fit for our technical committee.
Cameron, I just have to tell you that I think it's a great idea to have Sitla on there. And so, good work on getting them on there, and I think it's great that they were willing to spare somebody to be able to come to that committee, because they are such a big inholder in our reserve. Now they have inholdings in our section Zone 6. So
yeah, they do.
Well, with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2021-2842, a resolution appointing a board member to the Habitat Conservation Technical Committee, and that is Ron Torgeson. And let's see, how long's the term? I thought I saw it, but maybe it's not on there. Wait, Ron Torgeson.
Okay.
I second that, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. Thank you. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, Cameron. Appreciate you.
Cameron. All right, our next item is consideration of resolution, not 10. We were going to...
9.
This just got shuffled a little bit. Did you still want to table this item? Let me read it in, and then you can address it, and we'll go from there. This is consideration of resolution number R 2021-2843, a resolution approving a new host venue Ironman agreement replacing the Ironman 70.3 North American Championship with the Ironman World Championship. Kevin.
Yeah, that was pretty self-explanatory
Yeah.
there. So because of what we talked about earlier, that our May race will be switched from the North American Championship to the World Championship, we're redoing that contract. That has been through a couple of renditions with edits and things between the two, between Ironman and our organization. The county attorney's office has reviewed that, and we've got about two or three small edits that have gone back to Ironman for their approval before we get the final agreement. That didn't happen before tonight. So I guess the option is whether you want to, move forward on that with an approval based on the attorney's review of the final agreement, or whether we bring that back at another time.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm comfortable with passing or voting on this resolution tonight based on attorney's review.
Right. And I'm comfortable with that too, because we're not holding up Ironman.
Right.
We're simply ironing out the details. Devin, do you feel comfortable with that?
My recommendation would be to wait until you have a final version in front of you. I mean, you can do it that way. You could approve it subject to legal review. That's one option.
Well, that's why we hire a lawyer to disagree with us.
Well,
All right, then, Mr. Chairman, I move we table item number 9.
Just kidding, Dev.
and, upon some very fine legal counsel, I'll go ahead and second that motion.
There you go. We'll bring that back when it's finalized. Yeah.
Fair enough. All in favor of the motion to table on item number 9, say aye.
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 Amazing legal advice.
Well, we want him to feel comfortable to tell us the truth. And,
Yeah, I'm glad he did.
and he did.
That's good. He jumped right in there. That's good.
Yep, we set that up. Thanks, Kevin, for doing that. That was a perfect setup. All righty, item number 10, consideration of resolution number R 2021-2844, resolution appointing Jacob Browning to the 5-County Human Services Council Advisory Board.
Well, very good. The 5-County Human Services Advisory Board, a lot of the funding for our Council of Aging comes from 5-County. We have a very close relationship with them as we meet the needs of our seniors in this county. And of course, Jake is our Council of Aging Director. So it makes sense that we appoint him as our representative. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution R-2021-2844, a resolution appointing Jake Browning to the 5-County Human Services Council Advisory Board.
I second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yep, he'll be great. All right, required, Ron, if you'll come up and give us a Public Works report. We like having this documented and appreciate you.
It's an idea of where we're at. We've finished a lot of the flood repairs we've been doing. The floods were over a couple of months ago, but we had a lot of surface road damage all across the county, and the crews have been able to get through most of that, fixing that back up. So we're moving on to some other projects. We've finished the safety enhancements for a portion of Kolob Road. If you haven't been there, you ought to swing up by and take a look at the...
I went up and took pictures and loved it.
Jersey barriers are in place now, and I believe the striping and everything's been done, so that's been done on it. Only thing is we need to make sure that the traveling public here, that doesn't allow them to go faster. They still need to go slow down that road, so. Anyway, flood repairs to the Pinto area have been done. We had a lot of road damage up there and some debris damage into some little ponds up there. That should be pretty well done, and they've moved out of there. Hebron Road up towards the cemetery, we've rerouted the end of a one wash up there that was cutting into the road, just put it back in the wash and armored that little area. Most of the roads around Pinto were out in the county that had some damage. We fixed all those back up. It was mainly surface damage where it scoured off the top of the road, and we had to bring material back in to put that in place. We're moving back to Dalton Wash to get that road finished. We've been away from it while we've been doing flood repair, and so they'll be back up there first of the week working on that. soon as we can get everything smoothed out, we'll get the rotomill laid on that road and make sure we get that done up to the, about the end of the valley where you start up the Dugway, where we've worked on the road and widened the road out, so. We'll have that finished, and we're starting our winter grading, shaping the roads. As soon as we have extra man or two, we get out while we had a little bit of moisture and try and get the outer roads graded and compacted a little bit, so they'll stay in pretty good shape for the winter. Hopefully we'll keep getting a little moisture and keep working on that and roads. That's all we have for now.
Fantastic.
You know, I think we've appreciated your efforts up in Dalton Wash, especially to control the dust that happens up there. So with your rotomill, please report to us soon too on the ideas of paving some roads that we know are highly traveled. We know you've been working on it. We've given some suggestions. Let's just not let that sit on any back burner, because I think we're serious about getting some good surfaces, especially in.
We've got that. Dean and I have been working on that
Beautiful.
list, and we'll give you a combination of roads throughout the community areas in the county, and also some of the higher use dirt roads out through the county too that are big dust generators. So
I'd like to blame Kevin for all the use out on some of these roads, because, you know, when I was a kid, we didn't have to worry about them. Nobody was visiting, and so now with all these world championships.
have you been rerouting those guys down my dirt roads?
No, just kidding. Yeah.
I think Washington County's been discovered by many groups that come to bike and hike and just get out and enjoy the red rock scenery and stuff. So it's something we need to work on to keep our area clean and a lot of the dust out of the area too. So
Very good. Thank you for that report.
Thank you. I believe, Mr. Chairman, that we're going to adopt this report with a motion, and so I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the Public Works report from our Public Works Director, Ron Whitehead.
And I second that motion.
Motion and a second. Thank you, Ron. All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Our commissioners' report. We always talk about a lot of things because we have department heads come, we have public work directors, but there's probably a few other things. Anything to comment on?
The plumbing is having problems in this building. I thought that was a report that we should give.
Well, I think the people should know we're open and transparent. Well, we're not so open. Yeah, that will come later. But we are drilling. Okay.
I knew this would happen, though. As soon as you start a new building, it's like an old building holds itself together, and then when it knows it's about ready to be decommissioned, just relaxes and things start breaking. So.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Adam.
How do I follow that? I don't know.
Well, I can tell you that following this, we should all go clogging.
Oh my God.
We better adjourn this meeting.
All right.
Turn the cameras off.
I do want to report that for the public, we're trying to make every possible accommodation for those that need services at our various departments and offices, despite being under construction. That a parking lot is virtually overnight disappeared, but at the same time, we know there'll be a shiny, bright, and wonderful parking structure there that will serve a majority of everyone, not only in the county, but those who are coming, working here, but also those that visit for the services. So bear with us. There are marked areas where you can park, and for the public, we hope that you'll understand we're under construction, and that eventually we'll be fully back in swing of things.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Along those lines, there for anybody who's dropping off their ballots for municipal elections, the drop box has moved from the back part, from the large parking lot that was to the north of the building, now to the very small south parking lot right in front of the building along Tabernacle. So if you're looking for the drop box, that's where it's at.
Along with the treasurer's office drop box, their night drop box is out there in the front as well.
Right. So they haven't disappeared. They've just moved to the south side of our building by the stairs, and they're fairly obvious where they are. So thank you for that.
I have a question for our clerk, Susan Lewis. We have other drop boxes. Library has one, right? City office also.
So Hurricane
Okay, very good. So.
Well, very good. Having said that, we'll move this meeting adjourned.